Okay, Ted, next question is, thanks. I hope that's helpful, Leah. And the next question is from Amanda. What are the key elements of point of view that need to be clear? You need to be clear on in order to host a great, valuable intro workshop.
Okay, so you're going to do an intro workshop and you want to really nail the point of view thing. You want to make sure you've got that in place before you do the intro workshop. There's a number of things to have in place. Now I'm doing a whole bunch of workshops on this coming up. I've got a whole 6-week program on this in the membership. And just for the long-term deep dive, if you go to marketingforhippies.com/steps, marketingforhippies.com/steps, step 3, the third foundation in my mind is point of view. And at this moment, it's free, though it may not always be free. Ton of free stuff on point of view marketing there. So that's the more robust deep dive. But to get practical, there are really 3 things that need to be clearly articulated in my mind for an intro workshop. So to keep in mind, I'm assuming this is a service. And so that means they're coming because they have some problem that they want solved or some result that they're craving. And they're thinking that your intro workshop will give them some important context on how to make that journey from A to B. So, okay, if that's true, the very first thing is that clear? Like, do you have a clear sense of what island A is, what island B is? Because most people don't. And if you don't have that clear, then there is no, point of view about what? Point of view is specifically the point of view of the journey from A to B, or if it's a product, the point of view on how you make that product. So if that's not clear, well, then there's no point of view. But assuming you got it, then there's 3 things. First of all, we need to really articulate our diagnosis. Diagnosis meaning what's happening. They're confused about what's happening. They know the symptoms, but they don't know what's happening beneath the surface of things, yeah? They know the symptoms, but they don't know the causes. They know the branches, but they don't know the roots. And so we need to have a diagnosis of what's really going on backstage. Second thing we need to do is to articulate our prognosis, meaning what's likely to happen if they do what you say, and what's likely to happen if they don't do what you say. And that's being sort of blunt about it. But we're saying, look, if you follow this approach, here's what you can expect. If you don't follow this approach, here's what you can expect. If somebody came to me and said, Ted, I don't want to do the niching thing, what's the prognosis? I do have opinions about that. I could give them some sense of the prognosis if they don't niche. And third is the prescription, right? So now the diagnosis answers the question, what's happening? Prognosis answers the question, what's coming? And diagnosis answers the question, what's needed? What's needed? Oh boy, and what's needed? These are, of course, the things that are going to be included in our offers, and this is what sets the stage for our offers. Yeah, if we can't answer those 3 questions, what's happening, what's coming, and what's needed, then it's very unlikely that we're going to have enough credibility in their eyes for them to even think about responding to the offer. So it's those 3, and it's in that order. So basically, when they come to an intro workshop, what they want to hear is you say, okay, so you're here because you got this problem. Here's my take on it. Here's my take on what's going on. I think the real root cause of this is XYZ. And here's why it matters, this diagnosis, because if you don't handle this, here's where it goes. And if you do, here's what you can expect. And then the prescription, we say, here's what I think is needed. Now, the aim for the diagnosis level is to be accurate with our diagnosis. We want it to be just on the money. Here's what's going on for you with as much specificity as possible. For the prognosis, the goal is to be realistic about it. Meaning we don't say, if you don't buy from me, you're going to be a wretched failure forever. we just say, well, here's realistically what's going to happen if you don't, and here's what will happen if you do. And again, you're not saying if you work with me or don't work with me, it's just if you follow this approach I'm talking about, this is what you can expect, and if you don't, here's what you can expect. Third, for the diagnosis, the goal is to be effective, or it's the prescription. The goal is to be effective. We want to lay out a prescription that we think has the highest chance of working. So it's those three in that order in an intro workshop. And of course, what brings that all alive? Stories. And with each of those levels, there's different tools that you use. For a diagnosis, there's a certain set of tools. For prognosis, there's other tools, and for the prescription, there's certain tools that we use there. And it's more than I can go into now, but come to my point of view course, and we'll dive more into that. But if you're gonna get ready point of view wise, you need to at least have answers to those three questions. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
That was great. So Amanda, I hope that was helpful for you. And